We finally have the infamous Orion HCCA sub on the channel. Let's get it. Absolute smoke show over here. They said thank you for checking in to this video. Really appreciate it as always. And of course, y'all, checking out the Orion HCCA. This is just an iconic sub in the base head world. These things have been out for a long time. They've gone through several renditions though. This is the most recent model, but just an iconic looking sub. When I first got back into audio in the early 2010s, I just remember being on YouTube, guys, and there were just tons of videos of these things. They absolutely get down. They look insane with that big old beefy surround, big old motor, and of course that signature red looking basket. Been wanting to get one of these for a really long time, guys, and Orion and Big Jeff Audio made it happen, so we finally have one sitting here. I, of course, have to give a huge shout out and thank you to my man, Big Jeff. If you want to go pick up this sub or any other audio equipment, guys, I've done a lot of shopping with Big Jeff. Guys, you get great prices, quick shipping, and really good customer service, which I really appreciated. Also gotta give a shout out to Orion, of course, hooking us up with this sub. Now, of course, Big Jeff ran it by them before sending me this guy, and they've seen some of my videos. They know that, hey, how we do it on the channel, we push these things to the absolute max. We do blow them, and they were okay with that. In fact, they even sent me a recone kit so I can show y'all how easy it is to recone one of these guys. So really love that. Guys, I've had some people ask me to review their subs, then they say I gotta take it easy on it. I can't blow it. I gotta do whatever it takes to make the sub look good, which of course is not what y'all want to see. You want to see me push these things to the max and see what it takes to actually blow them. So y'all, that's definitely what we are gonna do. Let's see what we got inside the box. First off, we got a cutout for the sub. So of course you can lay this down on the box if you're building a custom box. Get a perfect cutout for this thing. We get 2 Orion decals. And of course, we get the manual. Here are all the specs, guys. I gotta say, I do like, hey, they tell you everything on these spec sheets. They also kind of go over all the neat things, all the neat technology that they've put into these. Polyurethane dust cap, paper cone, cast aluminum basket. Of course, on the 10-inch, we have a 3-inch voice coil. On the 12 and 15, we have a massive 4-inch voice coil. We have a absolutely massive 445-ounce motor, guys. That is a big fella. Bunch of venting and heat sinks kind of built into the motor. High temperature, polyester, amide resin coated, copper clad aluminum voice coil. I have the HCCA 12 D2 over here. Of course, you can see all the specs for all of them, but for the one that I have, guys, the FS 32.3, and of course, the 10 inches around is the 40s. 15, we get down close to the 20s. The efficiency is 84.22 dB, 30 millimeters of Xmax. RMS power, guys, a whopping 2,500 watts. Nominal power, 5,000 watts. Max power, 10,000 watts. WL on this thing is 26.27, and the frequency range is 24 to 100 hertz. Really like we have a cone replacement here. It means I can show y'all the guts of this guy. Y'all, the 4-inch coil on this thing is just insanely huge. So cool. And even with the coil being so big, they still have a good spider design that allows for 30 millimeters of Xmax, which is pretty good. Y'all, this thing is packaged extremely well. According to the label over here, guys, this thing weighs over 78 pounds. Beefy fella. Look at the detail they put in the packing of this thing, y'all. Oh my goodness. Look at all that cardboard and all that foam. And look at this. They even give you really nice, high quality bolts to bolt this thing down. These things are pretty big and beefy. Y'all, this is officially the best package sub that I've ever got. What is also cool, guys, they give you these metal plates right here. Now, what these allow you to do, if you don't want to use these wood screws that just connect straight to the wood, instead you can use these guys, and you can take the bolts that they were using to fasten it down right there. You could use this guy to figure out exactly where your holes go. You could drill them out. You then could stick this on the back. Of course, the sticky two double-sided tape there, then just run these bolts through just like that. That would, of course, give you an insanely good connection to the box. Never seen a company give those out, so that is really, really cool, guys. I gotta say, it is so cool seeing this here, having it this here, and just some of the detail they've already put into it is really awesome. Real quick, guys, before we jump into the review on this sub, we, of course, got to give a huge shout-out to the channel sponsor. That is, of course, Alfred Audio, the owners of Defmonts and Avatar. Quick word from them, y'all, then back to the review. Betty says if you want some great deals on some awesome equipment, it is that time of year. Now, Alfred Audio is running their holiday sales from November 1st to December 2nd. So if you want to jump on some great deals while you can, go check out the link in the description below. There will be tons of subs, amps, and speakers on sale at some really great discounts. If you've been eyeing some of the awesome Apocalypse subs, sport amps, Avatar equipment, then now is your time to grab that while the prices are low. Y'all know I love great equipment, but I also love getting it at a good deal, and that is exactly what Alfred Audio offers. Their equipment looks incredible, top tier performance, and doesn't have to break your bank either. Of course, y'all know I love their subs. These Apocalypse subs have been great. I've also ran the Avatars in my 815s, big build that I did. Those subs took an absolute beating, took them to multiple shows, didn't have a single problem, and I couldn't have been happier. Once again, guys, really, really appreciate Alfred Audio for sponsoring the channel, for helping me do the projects that I do on here. They have just been such a huge supporter, and I could not be happier to have a chance to work with them. So if you want to go check them out, link in the description below. But y'all, that's going to do it. Back to the video. Y'all, you know we got to get you a close look up at this beast. Look at this guy. Nice looking Mega Roll Surround. There is no stitching around here like you see on a lot of subs. But hey, doesn't really need it. Never ever seen a sub tear here that didn't have it. Big old dust cap. There's that cone. Looking good. Y'all, just the iconic red basket on these things is so, so cool. Really, really neat actually having one just sitting here. And y'all, these things just look amazing. Video does not do it justice, just how big this motor is. It is wild. Of course, no push terminals on this guy. We just have the Allen key terminals. Of course, they have the mesh over here. And there's that big old coil inside. And then, of course, y'all, this motor on this thing is just absolutely huge. Look at this. Y'all, just the detail on these things is so, so cool. Of course, we have this aluminum down here that acts as a heat sink. Same, we have an aluminum plate up top that does the same. Looky there. Just a beautiful looking sub. Around the bottom here, we have our bolts. You, of course, to recone this thing, guys, you take out these bolts. You then take out all these bolts, and the cone just pops right out. So it is a field-ready recone kit, which is awesome. Very similar to what we saw on the Kicker Solo X. Another cool feature on the bottom here, it's got some sort of rubber around here, so that way when you put it on your box, it'll definitely seal. That's really nice. But if that doesn't do it, guys, they also give you a foam ring just to make extra sure that this guy is going to seal. The only slightly negative thing that I can see about this guy, and this is very, very minor, is that the boot doesn't really fit. As you'll see, it doesn't really fit over the lip right. You can kind of push it on there. Same for this side. Nothing wrong with it, but just looks a little funky with it sticking up in places. But again, that is super, super minor. Not a big deal. The only other kind of negative thing I could see about this guy is that there's really no way to reverse mount it. So if you want to mount it upside down with the big old boot sticking out, the way the basket is made, guys, there's really no way to do that. I'm sure there's people out there that have figured it out. So technically, I suppose you could put that sealing ring up here, flip it over, bolt it down, and it would, work, but definitely not designed for it. Getting it hooked up, I do gotta say, I do like these Allen key terminals. Now, they're not as fast as your normal push terminals, but you can actually really shove the wire way up in there, and it tightens down really nice. Looks very nice and neat. All right, got her all hooked up. Now, I know this box looks small, but hey guys, it calls for, again, a box that's like 1.5 cubic feet. This is going to be closer to 2 cubic feet. Hey, I think it'll do just fine, but can't wait to test it out. So far, this guy absolutely putting in the work, and for being a cheap Cubon box, hey, it actually sounds pretty good, guys. Maybe doesn't smash the absolute lows, the absolute best. Of course, that's most of the box's fault. But around that 35 to 45 hertz range, guys, it just sounds incredible. And this big old guy takes a beating, guys. It just eats all the power for lunch. And it has some pretty nice excursion, too. It's been pretty awesome. All right, y'all. Time for the dB test on this guy. See how loud we can get. Now, one thing to note, this is in a little smaller box. If it was a bigger box, hey, we probably could get louder, but we're also pushing a lot of power to it, so smaller box will help it control itself a little bit better, which is good. Now, another thing I thought was really neat about this sub is the box specs online. In my last video, I mentioned that this sub wants a box that's about 1.5 cubic feet, and I had several people comment saying, no, Parker, it wants a box that's 2.5 cubic feet. And I want to say, first off, y'all are right, and I'm also right. Let me explain. This is one thing I thought was really cool about this sub. Most manufacturers will just give you a general size box, that's recommended for the sub. 1.5 cubic feet, 2 cubic feet, 2.5 cubic feet, whatever it is. Now, that being said, guys, it doesn't really make sense. There's a lot of factors that go into it. Now, if you're running this thing on lower power, they do recommend the 2.5 cubic foot box. But if you're going to be pushing it up closer to that RMS power that this guy is rated for, they recommend a 1.5 cubic foot box. And I have one that's about a 2 cubic foot box. So I'm really right in the middle, which I think will be perfect for what I want to do. Anyway, guys, let's get into these tests. So we have the sub facing the rear like always, and we will have the driver's side window open, of course. Meter in the kick on that side. Let's see what scores we get. Another quick thing to note about this amp. When this amp gets up to clipping, it just cuts power, which is great if you're demoing. You don't have to worry about burning up your subs as much. That being said, when you're trying to do a dB score, hey, sometimes you don't mind going up into clipping, you know, just for a second or two to get that score. Again, because this guy cuts out when it clips, I'm not able to push as much power. I won't be able to push as much power through that guy as I'd like, so that definitely will have an impact on the scores, but hopefully we'll still get something decent. As always, guys, we'll do 35, 40, and 45 hertz. Of course, the Ultimate Car Audio app over here, and we have the LF Audio wireless bass knob over here. Makes it nice and easy for me to control the volume. Let's get it. All right, y'all, 35 hertz. All right, 5,000 watts at 1.6 ohms, but we were below the tuning of the box, which really didn't help us. So we only got a 132.4. Y'all, we got 40 hertz. Let's see what we get. Woo! Pushing it there. 5,863 watts. Hey, and a little better, 138.2. And we have 45 hertz. 5,700 watts. And likes that a whole lot better. Now that's not a bad score at all. 143.4. Let's try 48 hertz just for the fun of it. Woo! Oh, taking it like a champ there. 5,500 watts, almost 56. Hey, looky there, guys. Not bad at all. 145.4. Pretty good. We'll give it one more shot. Let's do 50 hertz. Well, pushing it there. Couldn't get quite as much power, though. The ohms really rising up to 2.7. But we got 4,182 watts. And still, guys, a really, really good score. 144.8. Well, y'all, still pushed it pretty hard there. Almost 6,000 watts. And still pretty stiff, actually, and it still feels nice and smooth, so that's good. Also, guys, very, very few 12s on the channel have made it to a 145. Now, that being said, it was a little higher hertz at 48 hertz. Personally, I like a box tuned a little lower so I can peak a little bit lower, but this is what we had to work with, and we still got an awesome, awesome score. Stoked on it. Next up, let's do a musical RMS test on this guy. See if we can make it through a full song at around that 2,500 watts. Probably keep it between 2,000 to 2,500 watts. We'll see what we can get. I'm excited to see what this guy does. Sub made it through the test. I smelled it a little bit as it was going, which is normal, nothing crazy. But I'm actually surprised. A little bit of heat on the dust cap, but not much at all, guys. Doing this test, I've had a lot of subs. I'm gonna get to where you can't about touch the dust cap without almost burning yourself. This one actually feels surprisingly cool. Now, one quick thing to note about that test. Started out pretty good, staying up there in that 2,000 and up range, doing good. But guys, I gotta say, this sub actually kind of outdid my 8K tar amps. This thing got warm. We were getting up to above 4, even up into 5 ohms, which absolutely killed the output of the tar amps. We were seeing like 1,000 to 1,700 watts there at the end. And I was trying to bump it up, but again, guys, these tar amps don't like to clip. When they detect that they're clipping, they'll actually cut power. So I couldn't give this guy the full beans, which wouldn't have been fair to really clip it anyway, but point being, I wasn't able to keep it as close to that 2,500 watts as I would have liked, but still pretty impressive. Made it through that test pretty strong. Well, since it made it through that last test like a champ, we got to step it up a notch. Let it cool off for a little while. Now we've got it set up over here on the test bench. And this time we're going to do a 40 hertz brutal RMS test tone, guys. That's right, 40 hertz nonstop through this guy. Keep as close to that RMS power as we can. Oh, we'll see what this guy can do. Out of there, but still hanging on. Woo! Oh, real smoky. Oh my goodness, y'all. Whoa! Absolute smoke show over here. Shoot, this is gonna stink for days. Man, what a smoke show over here, guys. So close to 3 minutes, but didn't quite make it. Whew. Man, look at all that. Guys, filling up the entire shop. It is gonna stink for days in here. I better get the garage door open. Get some fans in here to start blowing some of this out. Y'all, this thing let off a ton of smoke. Wow, guys, that's nuts. Got another sub hooked up. I just want to see if this amp is fried or if it's still good. Looks like we're still good, y'all. We're good. I feel like I say this every video, but every time I blow a sub, I'm always worried about blowing an amp. Now, I gotta say, guys, this Defmons has been a trooper. This is, of course, the Adam Series 9.5K. Now, this is a full bridge amp, which are known for not being as tough, known for blowing easier, but y'all are a witness, guys. You've seen how many subs I've blown over here on this test bench using that guy, and I'm shocked, but that amp is still hanging on. Bummed out that the sub blew, but hey, that also means that I get to show y'all how easy it is to recone this thing. Much like the Kicker Solo X that we did a review on back a few weeks back. It also has a field-ready drop-in cone replacement right here. First off, guys, look at that coil. What a beast. To pop this off, y'all, we got 8 bolts around the top. We got 8 bolts down here. Lift this guy up, plop the new one in. Should be easy as pie. Of course, the question is just how easy is pie? 3.14. Anyway, let's get into it. All right, I want to see how long it takes me to do this, being my first time ever doing it to this sub. So I'll have a timer over here. I'll knock through it as quickly as I can, and we'll see how long it takes. Pause the timer real quick so I can show you all the inside of this fella. Yes, sir. Now we've got these pins. We'll stick those through the bottom there. That's what keeps the cone aligned. We've then got these new bolts over here. Now the shorter ones go around the top, and the longer ones go around the spider ring. Also, take a look at this slinky. Pretty wild, y'all. Look how thick that coil is, though. Big fella. All right, y'all. 14 minutes to get that done. First time ever doing it. I'm on one of these HCCAs. Hey, would like to have knocked it out quicker, but I am not going to complain at that. I've done plenty of other normal recones, guys, where you got to literally peel the old cone assembly out of there. You got to clean off all the glue, clean the surface, drop the new cone in, glue back the spider, glue back the surround. Once all that's dry, then pop the dust cap on there, glue it down, let it sit overnight, and then you're good to go. In this case, 15 minutes, and she's back to 100%. All right, real quick, let's throw this guy back in the box. Make sure she's good to go. She is back, baby. Oh, yeah, we got her playing 15 minutes to swap it out, and we are back to bumping, y'all. And I got to say, that is just absolutely awesome. If you're a true bass head, you know how it is. You're always wanting to push your equipment just a little bit harder, get it a little bit louder, and eventually, 100% of the time, that ends up in one of these bad boys going up in smoke. So the fact that there are subs out there like this guy, or like the Kicker Solo X, that you can just swap out the cones so quick and so easily is awesome. Let's go over my overall thoughts of this fella. First off, we'll start out with the bad. Not really a whole lot of bad here, but some things I didn't really love. First off, the terminals. They're okay. They're a little on the small side, and you really got to kind of get the wire way up in there for it to catch. Two, once it does catch, if you turn down and crank on it, it'll actually cut the copper, and your lead will just fall out, so you really got to kind of get it in there just perfect. Again, they are really small though. If you wanted to jumper wires off of this sub to wire this guy down, or to maybe hook up multiple subs, hey, you'd kind of be in trouble. Another issue, hey, you can't invert this sub. I mean, I'm sure you technically kind of could, but it's definitely not designed to be inverted. This guy's got a big old magnet on the bottom of it, and it would look good to see it inverted in some builds. And again, I know some people have done it. I'm just saying, not really designed for it. Third thing, would have liked to have seen it last a little bit longer in the brutal RMS test that I did. Now, I of course gotta say, I totally understand my test is extremely brutal, so I'm not shocked that it didn't last longer, but personally, would have loved to have seen it make it to that 5-minute mark. Some things I like. First off, guys, this is just an iconic looking sub with this unique basket. Again, no other sub on the market looks like it. Just one of my favorite looking subs. And just the overall design of this thing is absolutely solid, guys. Very sturdy. Of course, it has to be to hold up that big old awesome motor that this thing has. Of course, you gotta love the big 4-inch coil. For this being a 12-inch sub, there's still plenty of excursion on this guy, even though it does have that big coil on it. And in my opinion, guys, this is kind of the perfect size sub. It's big, it's beefy, it's heavy, it absolutely gets down, it takes the power, but it's not too heavy. If you had this guy in a box and you had to constantly be putting it in your car and taking it back out, again, this guy, not too bad, but if you had a heavier sub, could be a problem. Overall, this thing got down, sounded good in this car, has put an absolute smile on my face, bumping around with it. And the most rewarding thing about this, guys, is that even though I've blown it up, hey, I was able to swap out the cone, and I'm going to get to enjoy this thing for a few more days before I start on the next sub review, which is always awesome. Well, that's going to do it for this video. Y'all, this has been a long awaited video. I am so stoked to finally have this guy on the channel. Let me know what you think, and let me know what other subs you want me to do on the channel. The only reason that I have this sub sitting right here today is because y'all commented, y'all let Big Jeff and Orion know that this is the sub that you wanted to see on the channel, and that's why it's here today, guys. So I really appreciate it. If you want to pick up this guy, of course, there'll be a link to Big Jeff Audio in the description below. Go check it out. I will, of course, have a promo code where you can get 5% off. So again, go check it out, guys. But once again, that's going to do it. Remember, as always, y'all, keep basing on.